Hello everyone, Connor here. Just as a small disclaimer, some things we may talk about on the pod shouldn't be attempted or recreated. Remember to keep everything legal, keep it between the hedges, and don't tear up the ground while you're on the pull. What's crack, everyone? Welcome to the Limited Slip Differences podcast, the podcast where we talk about farming and cars and...
Our feet don't touch the ground from the chairs we're sitting on.
No, I'm definitely too small for that. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending when you're listening to us. If you are listening to us, well, you're obviously listening to us.
I was going to say, I think if you can hear us, then they are listening to us.
True,
all three people.
Yeah, that's right. We're two of them. I know. This is now episode 21.
It is indeed, eh? Hey,
time flies. Hey, whenever you're
right. This is actually.
Aye. It's just us two this week.
Oh, aye. Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah.
I'm Connor and you are
Michael. Yeah, aye. We keep forgetting to introduce ourselves as well, but
yes, we do.
Do you know what? Right. So
no, I don't know. Right, but what anyway?
Okay. So whenever we started the podcast,
right.
I'm talking like episode 3, episode 4. I was going to say episode, episode 3 or episode 4. There's a fella in my work. And he was chatting to me, because me and him would talk a lot about, because we'd listen to the comedy podcast, you know, like Maggie Bartlett, Shane Todd, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So we'd have talked about them. And he was telling me that 21 apparently, there's no word of a lie, 21 supposedly is the magic number. That if you can hit like 21 consistent podcasts, there's something about it where after that, whether this is true or not, we're going to find out. But apparently your algorithm and all gets much better.
I'll tell you one thing, Michael.
What?
I'm going to go and get one of those wooden posts that you normally put in the field and fuck it to your head so you can touch it.
There's one over there.
I know.
Oh, that's where you're hitting at.
Yes.
Right.
Good man.
Yes.
Good man.
Yes. And I have my Lidl coat on this week as well.
I know, he done his first shift in Lidl tonight.
I love this. It's actually so warm, like for $11.99 or $12.99.
It's so warm. For it's well looking.
Yeah, well looking or not, it's fucking class.
Well, funny, you know the way I love my Regatta shelf shells?
Yes, you're wearing one right now.
I love them so much that I bought another one today. Sorry, yesterday, and it came today.
Does it just look the same as the other one?
It literally is the same.
So people are going to just think you don't change your clothes. Because it's a regatta like coat and a super dry hoodie. And what hoodie are you wearing underneath your regatta coat tonight?
All right. Funny story that, well, put it this way, right? So whenever you're doing farm work and all that.
Yes.
I have since found, well, years ago gone by, like the older ones in the house, their partners, whenever they were sort of done with their clothes.
Hand-me-downs.
Like, yeah, hand-me-downs. And then it was always all they're good for is the yard.
Yes.
And most of them were, at the time, Fire Trap would have been quite big.
Ooh,
years
yes.
ago.
Oh, we're talking like wee out days. Shout out. Never forget.
Yes, that's
a long time ago now.
Yes.
God. 2006, 2007.
Aye, but between it and super dry hoodies. So like, but the mad thing, well, super dry hoodies anyway, really good fitting.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And just made a good heavy material.
Mm-hmm.
So like they last it long.
Yeah. Oh, they're top notch. Like
as time has went on, see whenever you have a smartwatch.
Yes.
Well, you don't. I don't.
I don't.
See whenever you're
too
doing
miserable to buy one.
But whenever you're doing the milking and that, if you put your sleeves full length, I would normally have the sleeve with the smartwatch on it. I would normally tuck like the flexible bit, you know, the bit that you can widen and all that there at the end of it, like the elastic sort of bit, right?
Yes.
And I normally tuck it back, and then I can see my watch handier and all that crack. But whenever I'm doing the milking and that, I leave it over it and it covers the watch. So if a cow hits it, or you know, this time of the year, cows are in.
Yeah. Over everything. Yeah.
We bed with lime so the dust doesn't ruin it. Anyway, so yes. Plus, there's an app called Vinted, and it's the second-hand clothes. To be honest with you, right?
You get some deadly stuff on it for like £5.
I probably have spent 90 quid on it, right? So far,
I got like 16 hoodies, 18 hoodies.
Yeah, about 12 hoodies and t-shirts and that.
Just all the same, like brand of same model of super dry hoodie. Just like 15 blue super dry hoodies.
Not quite,
but not far off.
Yeah. Gemma goes to me like literally.
Would you not buy something different?
She's like, you're literally buying a hoodie with the same logo and different fucking colours.
Yeah. Does she not work out? Like, you don't fix what's not broken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think they look good, so that's it.
Well, this isn't a hoodie and watch.
This is not about how to
covering-
buy clothes cheap, but yes, I am wearing the same shit different day.
Moving along nicely then. Anything new you?
Yes,
Really?
I know.
I know. No, it's just because...
Nothing's really happened.
Yeah.
Well,
I've not broken anything in quite some time now. touch wood.
But you haven't moved on a net.
Yeah. Don't fix what's not broken.
You can't break what you can't move.
Correct.
So what's new? Cows are in.
Yes.
Well, there's been a throw.
Same actually, yeah.
Cows are fully in now a while.
2 weeks. For me anyway.
Can't mind for us, but brave well now. Everyone's going grand that way. Otherwise, went to Bishop's Court Diff and Drift
Yes.
day with Stephen.
I haven't been there yet. That's somewhere I need to go.
Do you want to know something, right? My introduction to drifting was obviously at Bishop's Court years and years ago.
Oh,
I was,
NIMA.
yes.
Or even before that, like Pro
Yes.
Drift.
I don't know, but I'll just tell you, this is, well,
You may have talked about this in a previous podcast.
I did.
You did.
Right.
Recap.
Short story long.
Here we go.
When I was younger,
Yes.
I went to Bishop's Court
Yes.
and I got there, say, about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Uh-huh.
Now, whenever it would have been AMA or whatever series was on at the time, I would have been getting there at practice time.
Watched the practice and went home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't even know
Because
there
you
was
didn't
such
know how
thing.
drifting worked.
All I was like, oh my God, they're going sideways. This looks really good.
Aye.
That's it.
And
I'm
that
like,
was
I'm
that, yeah.
bored after an hour. Let's go home.
Yeah. Because all you were doing was watching boys practice.
You didn't know any
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
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 Does it sound stupid? Yes. Have I
But when
learned?
you don't know, like.
Well, pretty much. It's like going to King of the Cone and then getting to the Saturday at 4 o'clock on board now. And then it's like,
And leaving before the actual King of the Cone. Yeah.
Yes. Which
2022 vibes.
we haven't done. Haha. But yes, so went there with Stevie. First time I went to one of them events and I'm the only passenger there, if you know what I mean. So we went to Eglinton and obviously you had Becca with you in Alteza and
Fucked her out. And you jumped in beside me, but...
for one run, yeah.
Yeah, but we were right for about, what, 10 minutes?
Probably 5 or 6, I don't know. I honestly don't know, but again, to speed things up, so went there with Stevie. He had his IS200 there, and I'm not going to mark you down as anything as a bad driver. You had a road car there that you were driving home.
No, Stevie's fucking class. Stevie's a pilot. We've talked about this on the podcast before. Stevie is a pilot.
He can drive.
He just doesn't care.
Yes.
I would love to see...
And see whenever he gets a moving clipping point in front of him.
He just goes for it, like.
He goes for it, yes.
I've watched Stevie at the quarry literally trying to see how close he can get to the wall. And, like, literally, I mean, millimetres.
Well, I found what it's like to go in a ditch. That's one.
Sure. That's how you know when you're on your
I
limit.
found out what it's like to be close to tyres and to clench my arse. Because obviously,
Water
we're used to
yeah.
that. I've felt what a love tap is with tyres.
Mm-hmm.
And I realised that people, when ignorant enough, can make an S200 do second in the dry.
Stevie done third in the dry there at Ahidue or Eglinton in his old IS.
Well,
He's ill-bred on them.
he is, but do you want to know the one thing I would say? There's no smell of clutch.
It's just because he clutch bangs.
Clutch bangs,
Aye.
like hell.
See,
and
this is the thing, like, and we were talking about this off air. Everyone said to me, you need to drive the Alteza like off the clutch. You're clutching too much. And I found whenever I did that and tried to drive off the clutch, now at the time my diff was starting a one wheel, which I wasn't really sure of either. And I was trying to drive it off because she comes on VVTA at like 6k. When the track was starting to dry out and I was trying to like just go off the throttle alone.
you were getting no power.
Well, she wasn't hitting VVTA, so
To
she was
have power.
pulling back. I ripped the clutch. I literally ripped the Kevlar lining off the clutch. When I go out with my own style, which
Yes.
is clutch bang, clutch bang, clutch bang.
Sometimes
It's
you
about
just,
ill-bred, but
you
I've never done the car any harm.
yeah.
Now, there'll probably be people listening to this going, the fuck's he talking about in Alteza? Of course you can do that with Alteza, but like, I am also not a pro, and it worked for me, so sue me.
Well, one thing, so I realise what the limits of an IS200 really are.
Second gear.
Yeah, pretty much. See, whenever they wet the track,
Yeah.
they're
They're a different
Right,
animal,
so-
like.
see in the dry, A 350 would be ideal learner car.
Absolutely.
You have the torque, and they'll do second gear no problem all
and
day.
if you wear a set of earmuffs, great car.
Yeah. Plus, they're not that big.
No, they're not, and they're a great chassis.
Yes.
And they're going to be, Dave Egan actually said it in one of his recent videos, and I completely agree. They're going to be the next thing to go up.
There's a Corvette of Ireland.
I wouldn't have went that far, but
I'll tell you why, because for all the size of the tracks and all the tracks we have, you're never going to need any more than second gear.
Nah, maybe third at Hawaii.
Fair enough. But like, there's probably a decent amount of them there. You don't have to do much to them, and they just kind of work.
270 horsepower.
And
they're V6, so they've got torque. Yeah,
and they more or less just work. But yeah, so it would be. I found it would be very interesting to see him, with a lot kit with something over 200 horse. But I know it was. Do you know something? I enjoyed the day that much that I forgot to eat.
Yeah, that happens.
And I know it was. Like, it got to a stage, so he had put on a set of 16s and he was going round the track, and then he ended up popping one of the tyres, but it was kind of like, say, halfway through one of the sessions that we were on, and at this stage it was quite busy and there's more and more people coming on. Some of the people that were in the different arena maybe were having a go on the wet track.
Yeah.
I'd say me and him changed 2 wheels in about 2 minutes flat. And let's just get out again.
Yeah,
but
the excitement.
No, it was class. Apart from that, anything new really with me. Oh, I forgot to say that in the previous one. So the Golf.
Yes.
At 190,000 mile.
Yes.
I went and put some more ponies under the bonnet. Not that many.
Right. Okay.
Normally a 1600 TDI. They put them out about 145, 150.
I think Adam McCartney's old one was 155 or something like that, yeah.
Fair play, Torquetronics, I went to them.
Yeah.
And they looked at me when I asked them, here for a map. And they did a very conservative. So when I looked at torque figures, because they're done it on a rolling road, torque figures and horsepower, not a kick in the arse off PD 130.
Good enough, aye. Just plenty.
So it's like, instead of revving the crap out of the car,
you
have a wee bit more.
A wee bit of lift down low.
Is it any better in fuel? Not really, no. But it's more the fact that I've just got 30 extra horsepower, or 30% more power, and say 10% more torque in a very conservative map for no more fuel consumption.
Good enough.
So
you'll take it, like?
Oh, definitely. Mixed car, obviously a bit more enjoyable to drive. Apart from that, there's nothing really new with me.
I have a couple of small things. One of mine is drifting related too. I went to that drift aid.
Any use?
Yes and no. So Stephen Halfordy, friend of the pod, he won both days.
Seen that?
Saturday and
well
Sunday.
Done, Stephen.
Yep. And then I was around, of course, Marie
I'd
was
love,
out.
just saying this, Stephen, if you are listening to this, I would like a passenger spin with you.
Oh, and he'd give you one.
Oh,
100%.
Like I would
he'd give
love
you
it.
one. And his new car. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yes.
We'll talk about that at the end in our big old skid, literally, section. So, of course, we're out. Marie was obviously handing everybody tea.
Oh,
so that's what they do, yeah. And that's Stephen's ma. And, but it was so badly advertised. Like, I think the only thing they did was put up 1 or 2 posts on Facebook. Like, nobody knew it was on. And the thing I thought about it was you couldn't buy tickets for it, because I remember at the time I seen one thing and I was like, oh, I'll buy tickets for it, and then I couldn't buy tickets. It was something like turn up on the day. But the thing is, see, nowadays, like, you nearly need to have an event ticketed to
justify the cost.
Well, not even justify the cost. It's like so people actually go, because people will forget something's on. Like, say for instance, you say, right, I'm going to go out on Saturday night, and you end up drinking too many cherry brandies and blue WKDs like you do, or whatever it is you drink, and the next...
That was my get happy very quickly.
Well, but then say, right, so your Sunday, you're like, oh, fuck that, like, I ain't doing that, like, and then because you forgot it was on.
True.
So whereas if it had been ticketed, I think more people would have actually have went, and they would have
had to commit to it.
Correct. So you'd have bought tickets and would have went, oh right, because there's a lot of people only found out it was on the day and only landed in later on the day.
I suppose like if you're just a casual follower of the sport,
yeah,
you don't follow that much of it, so you don't have all the pages which it would have been advertised.
well that's
on.
the thing, and it was very very badly advertised. It was a shame because it was for charity. Like I was chatting to Blaine Rafferty, he's one of the judges on it.
Oh right, yeah.
Which is because Blaine was like, I'm shitting myself, I'm doing such a bad job, and I was like, no, you're not, Blaine. Like he was like, this is why I've been apprehensive about your podcast, and I was like, Blaine, you're doing absolutely fine.
It's whenever you think you're doing crap,
exactly.
you're actually doing really well.
Exactly.
But at least it shows you care.
Yeah, exactly. So, and he was saying it was badly advertised. So like, if it had been advertised better, I think it would have had real good potential. Now, Becca was really unwell, and to be honest, it was getting very, very cold. So I had to leave early because she, like, just seeing her beside me.
Let's
like,
just say this here. We are, once again, freezing the balls of ourselves.
you can see the steam now, or vapor.
True, yeah.
But like, anyway, I would have said that was the first day I felt the proper cold. And anyway, so I was like, right, I didn't get to see all of it, but got to see plenty of some of my favourite drivers. You know, there's a few of our mates and stuff at it, like, you know. So it was good to watch. Weird layout, weird style, but I kind of dig it. But maybe didn't agree with how it was scored.
Was it?
It was like
timed
ish. It was like drifting meets Gymkhana, which is literally what it was supposed to be. So basically, what happened was the first half of the run was a drift style. So the two cars come out. You had a lead run and a chase run, and then the two cars come out. And then you had your drift battle, and then that was scored with clipping points. Then what happened was the two then split into separate tracks, and it was like a Gymkhana style. So then one car went to one side and one car went to the other side, and you had to then go down around the cone. And the whole idea was you didn't stay too tight to the cone, you had to go out as close to the wall. So you were judged then on your speed and your proximity to the wall. So Blaine was saying, like, and I was chatting to Blaine about this, and Blaine was like he was like, what I think's a good run, he's like, might not actually have necessarily scored well. He's like, it's quite hard to get your head around it. But see, whenever you see the cars suddenly coming around and splitting off and going their separate way, nearly like a rally super special stage.
Yes.
Actually really, really cool. Really, really cool. I thought that was very entertaining. If they just maybe were able to get more grandstands and a better crowd, and because I was talking to Blaine says your man, like, he already has interest from like bigger companies that'll be willing to sponsor it. So I think he was happy enough just even trialing the event. But yeah, so that it was pretty cool. Like, my other what's new is the Holset Turbo has arrived back from Holland.
Oh,
all clean. I've changed the way it's run, the way it's set up. It's no longer a water cooled turbo.
How do you cool it then?
It's only oil.
Oh.
So it's got a bigger. So when you run a water cooled turbo, you actually allow for less oil in the core of the turbo. Now it's only oil. The core of the turbo can take more oil, so it still has a cooling effect. But like, for what it's going to go on to, I haven't seen any. Have you seen any tractors running water cooled turbos?
I didn't know. No, I don't know.
See, I don't either, but I don't think I've ever seen it done. So oil up to it, much simpler, drain it out. So I need to find a day to go to MDE in Fermanagh and start looking for manifolds.
Oh,
Yes.
so she'll pull a silage chiller much better next year.
I think, yeah. I said to Mum was like, what's the turbo? What are you doing with this turbo? And I went, for the tractor. Mum just looked at me and went, why? And I just went, why not? And she was like, will it do damage? And I was like, I hope not.
That's where you say no. That's where you just say no.
No, like, Hugh Barrs offered to help me out with it. So I think what I'll do is I'll go to Lochbeg Garage down out near you,
Yeah.
John McErlane.
Yeah.
I'll get him to dyno it at the way it is now to see how much she is screwed out.
I would actually be interested to see that.
Yeah, because obviously it pulls quite well for a non-turbo tractor.
Pulls exceptionally well, Michael.
So then the thing is, if it's sitting screwed out, like a lot, like maxed out, and then I put a turbo on that, she can nearly be doing 175 horse.
Yeah, yeah.
The fear is then
Bang.
she'll blow herself to bits. So I would like to then put her back to 110 horse and then start tweaking her from there. So fuck knows when it'll happen, because I plan on putting lights in Mary and getting the speed cable changed in Mary, and I also have the P100 to sort. So
You have lots of tinkering to do.
lots of tinkering to do between also editing all this, and yeah, back at training. Not that anybody cares, because this is a car and tractor podcast, but yeah, I went back to training for the first time.
Well, nobody
tonight.
cares about my clothes.
Fair. Yeah, I went back to MMA for the first time tonight, so
If you do care about my clothes,
fair play.
fair play.
There'll be a lot of people care about your clothes. Or I would say the 3 or 4 people listen to us love Superdry. That's the target audience, like.
Possibly. Like, do you know another funny thing actually about Superdry? So, I came in first year degree at Greenmount.
Yes.
Literally, I would say in the 35 or so, I think there was roughly maybe that in the class.
Probably 32 of them wearing a Superdry hoodie.
I'm not joking. That shop in
I
Belfast
well
must
believe
do
that.
some trade.
I would well believe it.
Every single one of them, near
Or
enough.
DV8 probably, or something like that, yeah.
Jack Jones and Superdry.
Yeah.
Absolutely making a fortune.
Aye.
And brown shoes as well. Like, the money spent in brown shoes, unreal.
Unreal.
Blundstone at the minute must like, so the odd more, well, for a long time every morning was going in and getting something to eat in the shop, for just the convenience was too handy.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one morning anyway, I went into the shop in Tim, and there was lorry drivers there too.
Uh-huh.
Out of the 9 men in front of me, 7 had a pair of Blundstones on them.
Class.
You would have swore it was just like a line out the showroom.
Well, we move on to our main topic now.
Probably, yeah.
So, because as you say, or as you would have said in the version that I've already edited out, breaking the fourth wall again.
Yes.
You said people don't really care about my Superdry, and I thought that was a funny comment.
That's good.
So,
That's good.
Yeah. Or did I edit that bit out? Who knows? I'll know myself when I'm recording it, playing it back. So you may have already heard me say this, and I'm now talking shit. Good enough. Maybe I'll just edit that bit out.
I just be baffled. Hey, just be baffled at, yeah.
Well, we move on to the main topic then.
You finished telling the folk that you've made a fuck up again.
Aye. So if I haven't edited, I thought I made a fuck up. Then turns out I didn't make a fuck up. So now I had to unfuck up my fuck up. So now you're going to hear of my.
Try to say that fast, lad.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. So this week, given the time of year, and it's.
Given it's a farming podcast.
Yeah, so it's episode 21, so every third episode, farming podcast. We kind of sort of broke that a bit with Donkey last week, but guests don't really matter. They just makes it.
How did that break it?
Because we talked more about farming than cars. We did, to be fair, we did talk more about farming than cars.
Well, true.
We made the Versus Challenge car related, but it was.
There's good luck there about a Leon as well.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Still, I think most people know him for the Sammys and not the Leon, like, let's be fair. So anyway, this is true farming podcast.
2 seconds though. Robert, congratulations on getting married.
Oh, aye. And actually watching us while he was on his honeymoon.
Very much appreciate it.
That was so funny. He's been, to be fair, like, and he was messaging me going, hey, that was class, like, that was unreal, I loved that. He is so game to come on again. You know what, for someone who has the following he has,
that's very, very humbling.
People, I like what your take is on him, I don't really care. My opinion is the man's an absolute gentleman.
As long as it wasn't limited slip differences and chill.
Saying nothing. Like, to be fair, like, here, the man was an absolute gentleman.
Completely.
Great fun on camera, great fun off camera.
The only thing I would have said was, so I got here early, and we just worked out that I got here about 7:30 or so. We stood talking for 2 hours beforehand.
Yeah, before even recording, and then he stood and talked to me for another hour after you left.
He did?
Yeah. Up in the top yard.
There you go. Well, at least you know what my telephone voice sounds like all the same.
So, like, here, no, I was great. And Aye, look, we've had a good run of guests and probably get back to that again very shortly, but no.
Michael wants to hear himself more.
Fuck, I thought I still spoke plenty last week, to be fair. This week's something probably a bit shorter because we have a lot of stuff to get through here later on, and I'm just mindful of that. So it's coming up to the time of year.
Just a wee second, actually.
This is the second fucking time yet. Are you me? Are you turning into me or something?
Right, so just... Do you want to know something?
Ladies and gentlemen, the main character syndrome has been transferred from Michael Scullin to Conor McGowan as of now.
You fuck up, lad.
Right, go on. What are you saying?
Don't the main character fucking comes out with that because I'm taking away from your time. Anyway, sorry. I sound like
That's
I couldn't
a good
breathe there. As I was about to say before I was kind of interrupted by fuckhead here.
You interrupted me.
Calm down, little man. Why do you not go out as that as like fancy dress?
Because it's not fancy dress, it's just dress.
Aye. You keep thinking that.
Just
but anyway,
say your piece, come on.
see the very first podcast we done, it was only an hour long. Isn't that mad? Like in 20 episodes we have doubled the amount of time we talk.
Yeah.
Isn't that, like, is that crazy?
And unedited, close to triple.
There's not, like, well, how many minutes roughly did you edit out the first one?
The first one?
Aye.
About 6. Because I can still remember the segment I edited out. Because we talked about it then on episode 14.
Because, like, that's mental. 20 podcasts in, you're doubling how much you're taught. If you know,
Yeah.
there's some change. But anyway, sorry.
But that's just because we've had more people writing to us, more shout-outs, more things, and we've kind of figured out, like, new stuff. We've kind of, like, our first podcast, second podcast, arguably till about the 5th podcast, we didn't have any structure.
First one, definitely not, no.
Not even on, like, even, I think Big Old Skids only came in, like, episode 7 or something.
No, it was before that.
Was it?
Bound to be.
Nah,
I'm near sure it was episode 3 or 4.
Or was it?
I don't know, but I'm
Then there's the Versus Challenge and all that, so there's a lot of stuff there.
True. Anyway, sorry,
Anyway.
Michael. I'm sorry for cutting in front of you there.
For-
you going ahead there, son.
We've decided to talk about
Farming.
farming and cattle in the sheds. No, literally, we're going to talk about the cattle in the sheds.
And farming using your calendar.
Calendar farming as well. So this is something that's kind of sparked up a lot of debate over the years. And I know John McLean of FarmFlex has been quite vocal about this. Andrew Wright, Farm Theory, has also been quite vocal about this. We have similar opinions on this as well. Here's a perfect example, right?
What is your perfect example, Michael?
What is that going up the road?
Sounds like a New Holland.
I think it is a New Holland. Anyway.
Back end.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So, see the week of the ban, right? The week
Yes.
coming up to the ban.
Uh-huh.
The weather was shocking,
Aye.
okay? I layered my tractor.
You did.
People all around the country were layering tractors everywhere.
Yes.
The ban finished on the Sunday the 15th.
Yes.
The week after,
Yes. Continue.
dry. Now,
Huh?
don't get me wrong, the weather we've had over the last week has been brutal. But we went from having a dry week, or a real wet stage, and I know you can apply for exemption forms and all that. but
Derogation.
unless you're literally Andrew Wright, who like enjoys doing forms, you're just not going to do that. Like, so everybody's out trying to beat the ban, and it's raining, and people are spreading slurry. How and under God is that good for the environment? Whereas you leave it a week, and the weather gets better, and you get 2 or 3 dry days at it, and you get the slurry on then. Slurry doesn't run off, it doesn't get mixed in with water, it doesn't run off. Like,
Well, it's like anything, right? If you go to, I suppose I put it in layman's terms, right? Mine back in the day, you used to go to Junction 1, say, Paul Walker's thing was the biggest I was ever at it. So Paul Walker Memorial Cruise, right?
right, end of
You went
November.
there, 99.9% of people were just parked up, actually got out of their cars and just chatted shite.
Yes.
There was always one idiot that was doing silly stuff,
Uh-huh.
right?
Where are you going with this?
See with the likes of what you're after saying there,
Uh-huh.
to the likes of the farmers, right, it does make total sense. It does make total sense till, spread as you need to.
And spread when dry.
Yes. There's always that 0.1 that don't do it.
Oh, aye. But it's like the reason why they got rid of
And all it takes is the wrong person to see that.
correct.
For quite a while back, actually, ago, I seen a photo somebody put up, I presume it was an animal activist, I think.
Right.
And it was essentially about dairy farming, how bad it was.
Right.
So it was like a collector jar in a milking parlour.
Oh, and it was full of red milk.
Full of red milk.
Yes.
And
yeah, she is an
this
activist.
video had 500-something thousand views.
Had more. Had millions.
Right. So, if you obviously aren't acquainted to it, so, excuse me, if you're watching a joinery video and you see somebody doing something that looks really stupid, you probably won't know any better because you don't know enough about it.
Yes.
You'll be like, oh, that's terrible, or blah, 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 right? Yeah. What she was putting up was saying that, look at what the farmers are doing. This cow is milking so much, she is blood in her milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's bleeding. This animal is in total pain, blah, 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 blah. All it was just a burst vessel in the udder, and it happens mostly just after calve down, all that crack. But that's like 1 million people have seen that or more.
Yeah, and everyone's thinking they're milking cows till they bleed. Which isn't the case.
All it takes is the one person that is, suppose you could say,
got a voice.
Yeah.
See, what I think was happening, right, and you talk about like the one person ruining it, and maybe for some people this seems like a good idea, but what was happening was people were going out, say the middle of December or middle of January, and you got a real hard frost on.
Yeah, ground's hard and
ground's rock hard, right, takes the weight. Problem, you put slurry on rock hard ground, it doesn't absorb, it just runs off. And this is what was happening, was spreading on rock hard ground nearly has the same effect as spreading in ridiculously wet ground. It ends up running off. It doesn't get absorbed into the water stream immediately, but it just runs off. It just runs away, and that is what was happening. To my understanding, anyway, and from having looked up a bit before we discussed this topic.
Yeah.
But I remember that being a thing at the time, was they didn't want people spreading on frozen ground.
Fair enough.
But that's fine. Like, yes, granted, at the minute we have a lot of rain, but if you got a mild week at the start of December where it's dry, like I think last December, the first couple of weeks of December, if I remember right, was fine. I
actually can mind just before Christmas time. I was still driving the Type R.
Yeah. Because it was dry.
It was so mild, there was no salt on the road, like you didn't, it was nothing to annoy you.
That would have been the perfect time if your tanks were overflowing or were bad.
Yes.
Like that would have been the perfect time to go out and spread a few loads in the ground.
Yes.
But if it was mild, and realistically, things are getting, like, winters are getting milder. We don't get as much frost or snow or any of that caper now. And the reality is,
it doesn't come to January or February time.
It doesn't come to March half the time. Now, we always get snow in March these days. Snow in March and then summer temperatures in April. It's literally like it's like winter for a month, spring for a month, summer for a month, and then from May right through to the following January, it's winter or autumn.
Well, it depends. Like for, 2017, we had an absolute disaster of a wet year.
Yeah, that was the year we were taking silage in the start of November.
Yes, we got, I'm near sure it was Jeff Atchison was Big M, and he cut our silage in the 1st of November.
Yeah, because we literally jumped in the car, I think, that same evening and went to Ultimate Stance. Yeah. That's why I think I was at yours.
Possibly, yes.
So that was the whole thing.
And then 2018, let me think. So it was really wet right through. We had the cows in from the 1st of August 2017.
Holy ghost.
Then 2018 came, and if I can remember correctly, I had to do work placement with university, and it was down in Waterford, and like the ground was that badly poached. It was mental, just because obviously it was wet all the time.
Yeah.
And then like I arrived, I'm near sure the very start of June. It would have been the start of June, for it was June to sort of the middle of September, and like I had one wet day and it was only a mizzle in 8 weeks. And it literally went to, oh my God, we have a famine for silage because there's nothing in the ground because there's no water.
Yeah.
And then 2019, we were blessed with a good year. 2020 was just
phenomenal.
Unreal.
Phenomenal.
21 was good. 22 was good. 23, shite
show. That's a bad year. Last year wasn't great either, but this year was really bad.
Last year was, I suppose.
No, last year wasn't good either. I know plenty of people that didn't get cuts in because last year wasn't good either.
This year should it like see for the man that done 2 cuts like myself.
I know me as well. Yeah.
Bad year. But
Good,
the man doing
good enough for
4
me.
cuts.
It worked out okay.
Aye, but you have only like 3 acres to cut.
Aye. Shut up! I'm trying to impress people.
Whereas like our second cut didn't come off to the middle of August. That's a month late. Like the feeding quality is dramatically reduced.
I see. I cut
only stuff for
middle
dry
of
cows.
June and then cut. I think I went 10 weeks for the second cut, and I had just started the stem, and I got it. It was all right. And to be honest, I'm feeding the second cut bales at the minute, and they're good quality. Like,
Yeah.
very happy with them.
Like normally we do first cut very last week of May, and
Yeah.
then it's thing. But
Did we not do it at the start of June this year? 4th of June, wasn't it?
27th or 8th of May.
Was it?
It's literally this last few years has literally been around 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th.
I thought
of
it was
May.
always the same. I always thought it was the same at the start of June.
But like before it would have been in June, but that's whenever like you weren't so much bothered about the quality. It was more about sort of getting value for money.
Yeah.
You know.
Funny, we were talking about that in work, and there was actually someone who isn't big. We're kind of sort of going off topic a bit, but it's actually
It's
someone.
farming. We're still talking about farming.
Funny, someone in work was saying, just when you talk about like feeding quality and all that, there, one of the boys was saying like he's not into farming, but we were talking about it anyway, and he said, I grew up. Here's like one of my mates. He worked for a contractor, or his father was a contractor or something. He says it used to be like he'd be at it like all summer long, and now he only says like he's got 2 weeks here and then 2 weeks there, and it's because like now people have worked out that if you cut at certain times, your grass quality is far better, whereas for years people were feeding silage and it was just a filler.
Yeah.
There was nothing really in it because you maybe cut what people would probably have done back in the day, and I remember we did this and you probably did this too, is you just had your 2 big cuts,
Yeah.
and you just cut like maybe the first one in the middle of June when it was bulky, and the second one like end of August when it was bulky.
Oh yeah. True.
And like you got nearly like 10 to 12 weeks growth out of your ground.
Yes, but it's like anything. Obviously, cars these days, everyone's about efficiency and the smaller engine making more power and that with the turbos and stuff. Well, like farming's no different. Everyone's just went to efficiency. Whether it's beef cattle trying to get the daily live weight gains up, or like milk, it's all about feed. Your yield from forage and trying to get the most from your grass.
It just makes it a bit shitty for the contractors, because now if you were doing say 3,000 acres for a first cut over 6 weeks, you're now doing 3,000 acres for a first cut over 2 weeks.
That's, I suppose, why
So
the
need
big harvesters in America and that, like your 9900s and your
there's
990s.
boys of big harvesters here. Brian Horner is a Crone 1180.
Aye, but he can get it's incredibly mental how quick he can go through grass.
Oh, it's unreal. But like
Even Rory
can go
like
up, and an 870 class can go up the
see
swords
when
at some rate.
Go back 4 years or 5 years ago, whenever our crop would have been lighter. I'm near sure in one of our fields I clocked lifting at about 12 or 13k.
Mm-hmm.
I always combined. I was juggling between 3D and 4A,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously there's a bit of a delay there. It's a bit annoying, but
Aye.
like you were,
Hashtag Dana 4 problems.
well, Dana 6 has it too.
Dana 6, you maybe could have done it in 3E or 3F, but
I was told by somebody that it's to do with the solenoids in the gearbox. I have no idea if that's true or not, and because class share the same gearbox, if you put a class solenoid onto a Massey, it makes the delay smaller. If that's a load of shit, I'm sorry, but I'm near sure I was told that by somebody at a point. But yeah, like with everything getting more efficiency based, and make it kind of seems like a no-brainer. Oh, if you cut at a certain time, your cow's going to give 3 to 4 more litres a day.
it's fine. But you've got a
And
man.
if you feed beef cattle real good quality silage, you don't need anywhere near as much meal.
Aye, and it used to be the beef men always cut for bulk,
Oh, aye, yeah.
and now beef men are nearly adopting the same approach as the dairy men.
Oh, completely,
Like
completely, yeah.
beef men now doing 3 or 4 cuts.
And now with the dairymen pushing the cows so much, maize getting reduced for the energy requirements and that. Like,
you can't do maize in this country. Well, you can. I mean, there are places doing maize.
Have you seen them trying to take maize? I've seen on TikTok there.
Unbelievable.
There was I don't know where it is now, but
some like 6 tractors trying to pull out the harvester.
No, I have it. Sorry, I wrote down here.
We'll do it at the end then.
Hold on 2 seconds, because we've talked about it now. A boy James McGuire on TikTok.
Right.
This is an early big old skid, just so we,
Is that a big old skid or a one-wheel pile?
It's a fucking big old skid for it's cool.
Right, okay.
A bulldozer driving around a field beside a harvester with a silage straw on it.
Oh, I never saw that. Holy
and then
shit.
he drives around and then obviously must hook off at the edge of the field. Tractor hooks it on and drives onto the pit, and then he puts another chiller on.
If you can find me that video, I will take that and I will credit that to him, because that is good content.
That is, I thought,
that is class.
That is,
I must get that.
You know, and to be honest with you, it was needed.
Yeah, fuck aye.
Like, I seen another video when it was Patora Energy, and harvester was lying half on their side. Tractor overturned a couple of tillers on their sides, but my God, the ground. Now, I'm sure they have a lot of topsoil over there in Cambridgeshire, but like...
Well, I seen a video there recently of a harvester, one tractor, another tractor, another tractor, another tractor. Each one of them levelled, trying to get the harvester out. It was...
Need a digger job,
aye. Or a bulldozer. Like, the thing is, this country, it's too... Like, see if you had a year like this year. There's a fella outside Tobermoor grows maize, and he does it in the same ground every year. There's been a couple of people around here who've tried maize and give it up. Well, because the ground's too wet. It doesn't grow.
I know obviously because of the temperature, right? But having watched one of FarmFlix episodes there on Townley's.
Aye.
Anyway.
Townley's, yeah. JD Townley. And they're Comber direction, aren't they, or something?
I do not have a clue.
I think they're Comber.
It was like they were planting maize and chatting about that, and like...
Are they the boys with the Zerion?
They were saying, yes.
Yeah.
And like they were saying, you know, there's so much change that's come to the plastic because obviously, you know, it has to go to biodegradable now, whereas before it wasn't.
Yes.
And like you'd have been like, you know, getting a field ready for maize and you'd have seen last year's plastic and bits of it, you know.
Yes.
But if I can mind right...
it's not a bad idea having the biodegradable stuff, to be fair.
So it breaks down basically.
Yeah, that's a neat job, like.
But it's getting even more expensive now too, supposedly.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But what was I going at there?
You're saying
if I'm thinking, because of the wet ground, it's to do with, well, this could be a load of dung, but the root of the maize was quite good at actually firming the ground up a bit.
Right.
And that helped them whenever, but then again, sure, that wouldn't make any sense if you had the fucking rainfall we've had this year. So I retract that statement. That makes absolutely no fucking sense.
I suppose our topic hasn't really been calendar farming. We've just more talked about this year's calendar and how you can't farm it.
Or this year's shite.
Fuck, it's been a bad year, hey. This is probably, you know what, this is probably our farming recap of the year, if anything.
Well, we should do that in December time, but like, so far.
Well, not really, because we've got, like, 3 more podcasts for the year's out?
That's mad, hey?
Yeah.
Not
even, maybe 2.
Michael, do you have the cows in at the minute?
I do.
You do? Oh, that's good.
I do.
How's how are they doing?
I've the gates all fixed off. So that basically last year, I know it's quite on an honest setup, like, but last year everything in that shed was rotten. There was no running water, nothing. I know it's not that big a deal, like, realistically, but
but
I fixed all the.
Not everybody is you.
Well, I made a new gate. So I just made one myself. I was like, right, I'm going to make a new gate, and then I
pat yourself in the back.
Refurbished the other 2. So, but I did make one mistake when I was refurbishing the gates. So one of them, they're like the slanty feeders.
Yeah.
So
stop the cow dunking up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But basically, what happened is the bottom of them was all rotted. So what Michael thought would be a great idea would be go up about 2 inches and cut where the rot isn't. Cut where the rot is and take it out and just put a new bar across. Great idea. Welded it up, put it on, and you can see one side sitting higher than the other. And therein lies my problem. It's too high for the cattle to get to the bottom.
Do you want to know what's actually kind of mad?
You probably said that, did you?
No. John, no, this is terrible. But
Do you want to know something? That's your line.
fuck up.
That's what you were going to say. Do you want to know something?
No. Ryan Lavery, I run about with.
Yes.
Dexter's.
Yes.
Do you ever see Dexter's at them type of feeding
Probably
gets?
has to be about 5 or 6 centimeters.
No, he just has to put the feet in pallets so they can reach it.
Holy shit! Seriously?
I'm near sure that's.
That would make sense. Like,
I'm near sure because
because
like,
they can't get the head over.
they're actually fucking stupid. Like whatever
They're about the size of a dog. Like,
they're wider than they are tall.
ah, jeez, they're small cow.
So you can
like.
imagine like calves that you're feeding kids.
Aye. Well, well, mine are what 8 to 11 months. So
Oh, like he breeds great animals, and to be fair, he does. So he would. I'm near sure the way he works it is, whatever he culls, he then gets butchered, and then he sells it as grass-fed beef.
is he an organic farm? Because
I don't know.
all beef's grass fed in this country. Like, this is the thing. We were saying this actually about.
But no, like this is homegrown grass-fed Dexter beef. Artisan, sorry. I think
Artisan, okay.
I don't know. I don't know what the fuck that means, but I'm near sure.
It's boutique.
He basically he sells it himself.
Yeah. Aye, well, that's what it is. Aye.
So-
So he gets it cut up and then he sells it in his own farm
So whenever
shop.
he looks at the one that he's sending to the abattoir, he's like, "You'll make great burgers."
Well, funny, we were talking about this. This is kind of off topic again.
Everything we talk
I might have
about is off
I might have
topic.
said about this in another podcast. I can't remember, but one of the boys in my work, because this same thing happened similar to us, and one of the boys in my work was telling me when he was with his previous company, he was in America, in Texas, or one of them places, in a steakhouse, and the man was like, he tried the steak here is incredible. And Sam was like, right, yeah, cool, whatever. And had the steak, and your mom was like, well, what'd you think of the steak? Did it blow your mind? Because Americans kind of tend to think they're the best at everything. And Sam was like, it's all right, like. And your mom was like, what do you mean it's just all right? Sir, I don't think you understand. This is 100% grass-fed beef. And Sam was like, Chief, I'm literally from Ireland. All our stuff is grass-fed. We don't have the ability to grow anything else to feed them. Your man didn't know what to say, because for us, it's normal.
Let's say John knows what's even worse.
What?
I know a relative who has been at like restaurants and has been given like, you know, a certain type of steak,
Uh-huh.
and it's been set in his plate, and I went, "That's not what I ordered," and they were like, "Sorry, what do you mean?" They give him a different type of steak and just put it down his plate as that steak, but because he was, you know,
He's a steak.
because he was a butcher,
Oh,
he
okay.
knows, and then he's like, "Ooh, caught you out."
Right, interested.
I was
Interesting.
once actually in a restaurant, and
He must have asked for a fillet and he gave him a sirloin or something like that.
that would be very obvious, but
I wouldn't know the difference.
fillet doesn't have fat around it.
Right, okay.
Fillet's like one of the prime cuts.
Fillet is the primest cut, is it not?
Ribeye would be up there
Oh,
too.
yeah, ribeye. Yeah.
But fucking hell, this is off topic, isn't it? Just another off topic thing.
Right.
Is your microphone soaking?
No, because I'm not trying to eat mine.
I'm not trying to eat mine either, but I touched it with my nose there by accident. I was like, dear God.
No, mine's is fine.
All right. I
So-
just must slabber into mine.
So, calendar farming.
That's going to be edited out.
No.
So, calendar farming.
So, calendar farming. Didn't really talk much about it. Just went around and rant about how this year's weather has been absolutely shite and how we feel about it. Thank you for coming our TED Talk. Let's move on to the versus challenge. I haven't thought of one. Have you? No, fuck! Right, here's one. I think I know what the answer is,
Okay.
but hypothetically, let's not talk about how it's made. Let's just talk about what you're feeding. If you had the choice in a true, I suppose, maintaining the most efficiency of your farm, would you feed clamp silage or would you feed bales? Bit of a weird one. It's a bit of a weird versus one, but I'm kind of interested to see your thoughts.
Depends, though, on one thing.
Right.
Right. So, multi-cut or two-cut?
Does it matter?
Right. So, if you're going multi-cut, technically, so, depends, right? I've heard before that ones have said that if you're going for your 4-cut system and it's very leafy stuff, well, if you take it at say £80 an acre when it's in the pit, it would be more cost effective to have bulky stuff, so you're getting value for money.
Yes.
Whereas if you have like a load of 2 acres, that load of grass coming into your pit is technically 160 quid. So you're not getting value for money. But I've heard one say that obviously less wear and tear in the machines because it's not bulky crops.
Yeah.
It'll be done quicker, so it's done for less.
But there's something about that.
But I don't know if that's a guaranteed thing or not, because I've never done it.
Something about that where I've heard that they don't charge the full amount per acre because they're going through it that quickly. What I'm more alluding to is, you're saying about how per acre and stuff like that there.
So if the man putting in the pit charged the same amount for a low crop as a high crop, then it would be more cost effective to go bales. So you probably think, bales.
I suppose what I'm thinking more is, let's not think about how it got into like how we got the grass, because let's be honest, drawing silage is more fun than drawing bales unless you're a sociopath, right? But
until you have to cover the clump.
But Jesus, at least you've all that, like, you're drawing bales for about 4 days, like.
Aye, but you look at them and you're like, oh, that's done.
Well, the thing is, obviously bales takes up more room as well, but with bales, provided you don't rip them, you would have less wastage compared to what you would have with a clump. So technically your cut would be more efficient. Yes, it is. But it's also a fucking heartache because you have to open every bale individually, unless you have one of them Celtic bale splitter things. Well, which splits the bale and then feeds it out. It's pretty cool. You're probably able to. Well, there's ways around it, but you're probably able to feed bales grand if in regards to like a paddle style diet feeder. Yeah. As well as to your tub. Tub more designed for the bale, I think, as far as I'm aware. Yeah. But like for likes of me, the small man, bales are really the only viable option until I would even touch 30 acres. Like, it just, for me to have a clump, you would be taking too long to get out the clump and your grass would be going off. So for the small farmer like me, bales is ideal. And you can put them anywhere. Until you're getting. Well, I would put my bales where I'm planning on putting my clump at a later stage. Yeah. But the thing is, where you put your bales, you can just use away at them as you need them. Whereas, as I say, you're clumping. If you only have a small number of animals, like, you may have the face of the clamp open for ages, so you'll end up rotting the silage. You just close it with putting the cover down. But does putting the cover down really help it that much? Because it's not compacted anymore. Well, it's still compacted. It's just, instead of being open, it's closed. Aye, but I mean at the front. Aye, but you have to think at the front, if you have a good cut and shear grab, or block grab, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I would call it shear grab. It'll seal itself by cutting properly. Aye, cutting a proper nice groove. Aye, yeah, well, that's true. I never actually thought of that. Well, I've heard from multiple people that supposedly Johnson shear grabs, the yellow ones, are supposed to be the best cutting. We used to have one of them years ago. That doesn't stop the fact that we have a Wiley at home, but it didn't come free with a Kramer, so hardly not going to use it, if you get me. I think Donald has an NC. Okay. Surely any of them, as long as you hit them with the grinder and the buffing disc, would be dead on, like. True. But then that would mean to say, why does everybody not have NC tankers instead of Red Rocks at the minute? There must be something in them. Preference, probably. Possibly, yes. Whoever's offering the best finance, likely. But I suppose if you're asking which would I prefer, that is a good question, to be honest. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, take out the fun of getting it into the clamp for an actual feeding system over the winter. I'm not saying I'm an expert, but I'll just... Fuck, neither am I. So, probably I would go for pit silage, and I'll tell you why. Right, okay. Every bale technically has its own pit. Yes. You would technically need to take a silage sample out of every bale to understand actually how good your bale is. Multiple tests. Unless you mark them per field or something like that, yeah. Not even every different part of the field is different as well. True. Whereas if you have a pit, everyone's like, if you have a wet field and you have a dry field below it, it all kind of averages out. Yes. So
as well as if you basically did it to your buck rake man, right, you're doing, say, 4 cuts. You want a long, like a nice long ramp, and then you can build
so you can keep
up top.
topping up on it, yeah.
So whenever it comes to actually feeding your stuff, you can basically feed your 4th or your 3rd, a bit of each, as well as whenever you're actually diet feeding, if you want, now most dairymen now want a consistent diet. Tell you why, so like there at the start of the year, obviously with the wet weather, we had cows out for 2 weeks in the grass.
Yeah.
Cows enjoyed it, went up in milk, then they had to go inside again for 2 weeks.
Depressed.
Oh, like it
Sorrow.
hit them for 6s, so it probably takes a cow 2 to 3 weeks to get used.
Aye.
To change.
Yeah.
And you do another change.
Yeah.
And knocks them again. So where some of the cows would have been, I had been like, oh my God, this is dead late, they're peaking at whatever, and they're going up and up, then they got a knock, then they build up again.
Yeah.
Then they get another knock maybe. So the likes of your clamp silage, and probably a good example of this is Kieran McNaughton.
Okay.
They would have done bales, and they did, as you say, marked every field. So like very good managers and all that.
Oh yeah, but they're so fussy, aren't they?
Oh, incredibly. But then again, I suppose you need to be nowadays.
Yeah, true.
They're going to clamp silage,
Uh-huh.
and they're doing literally as I'm more or less saying, that they're going to do their multi-cut and build it like a nice long
4, 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that they can have a nice consistent diet.
So they're going to use one clamp and just keep going over the top.
Yes.
Interesting. That's quite.
To be honest with you, everybody has their own ideas.
Aye.
Some would say doing 4 pits would be ideal.
Yeah, that's what
It would
Donald
be,
does.
yes. But if you don't have it to make it work, as long as you're doing it, like if your pit is just a big ramp,
Yeah.
no use, because you're not getting at your cut. Whereas if you do a nice long one, you're fit to build it up in layers. So you're not going like so.
See, Donald
They're with their own pit at the minute. We've been feeding constantly second cut, and we're now going to be stuck with second cut, and it could be maybe in the middle of January before we even get to
First cut.
First cut.
But sure, that'd be alright because your second cut would go off quicker than your first cut. So
It's not even that there. Like your second cut is never as good as your first, and you always like to feed a bit of second along with first to try and average it out.
okay, aye, yeah, okay.
So I would probably say, from a management perspective, probably pit. But then people could say, oh, you could take a bale of first cut and a bale of second cut or whatever. Everybody has their own ideas.
Wrap your second cut differently to your first cut,
A lot of people would like, obviously mow the grass down, ted it, and then try and get your 30% dry matter or so. But your dry grass in a pit goes off quick, as you say, because it starts to heat.
Yeah.
Whereas in a bale, you can have a high dry matter, obviously, like haylage.
Bales would allow for a higher dry matter, like,
you don't
yeah.
fucking put haylage in a
Yeah.
pit because it's just it's a disaster.
You
Like,
can't deal with it, like, yeah.
But
So, and tell me this. How do you fancy stacking bales with Mary in the future?
I suppose I'll give it a go.
It's like literally joystick.
You have to get over your fingers then.
Well, Jesus, you need to be doing your exercises.
Oh, right. For a relative or a far right relative has a 390, but she's down, so she uses the spools off the back of herself for the loader. So like, where one of your spools is like up and one of your spools is tip out. I'll tell you, whenever you go from a Kramer that has all self-leveling and that there, it's not a culture shock, it's a complete nutter.
That map, bro, is okay. Just sometimes the boom gets to a certain point and it doesn't go any lower, so you then have to change. You have to, when you're lowering the boom down, and the boom nearly kind of bottoms out, and you're like, you still have like 2 foot to go, and then you flick the you flick the tilt, and she just goes boom. It's like interesting.
Is there a restrictor valve or something?
I think there has to be something like that. I need to get her properly serviced. She's doing me for all I need her for at the minute. Pivot steer, having not driven pivot steer since I was 11, pivot steer has been getting onto it is a bit weird because it's kind of nearly
you follow your bucket.
Yeah, it's like arse about face and what you kind of think, because I know what a telehandler, like if you want to push something in, you kind of go full Like, I know if I was like trying to doze, like,
You drive with the front wheel.
it seems like driving, or even like driving telehandler, you can't really steer it like a forklift. You kind of like it's hard to say, but it's kind of like nearly like opposite. Whereas the Map Bro, as you say, you steer with the bucket. So you want where you want to put something, you turn the bucket to that direction.
Yeah.
And that's kind of
Weird.
because it nearly feels counterintuitive. Because you've been doing it a certain way for so long, either with forklifts or like telehandlers and stuff, and now I've moved on to the pivot steer. And once you get onto it, like, I've been able to get Mary into like tighter places than I would have thought.
Oh.
Pun not intended, but that's quite funny.
What have you been doing to Mary?
Giving her a fucking hard time, by the sounds of it. But no, it's like even trying to get like move things there recently.
Are you changing gear there with your hands?
No, I was trying to use the joystick. Just like trying to get her into places there, and it's like, as I say, it's just counterintuitive. You're sitting going, it doesn't feel like, I say, you're trying to get as close to things as you can, and then turning and steering with the bucket, as you say, and it's compared to how you would take it with like a telehandler or something. It's just
A four-wheel steer.
it just feels totally
Pivot
different.
steer versus four-wheel steer.
But anyway, we'll get there. So, you can be the one to stack then, because anytime I've tried stacking, it's never really went very well.
Just whenever you have a very particular farmer. Yeah.
Well, I remember Donald has a bit out the back of one of his, and I was stacking, but the wee sort of field he was stacking in had been all dug up from a previous year.
Oh, right.
So it was like boof, boof, boof through it, like, and he's one of them McKeel, something similar to what your brother made, like, you know, where like the
hydraulic open and close,
the toes open. Well, it's not toes, whatever it is, opens. They aren't anyway.
They're
they
toes,
open and close toes. The toes open and close. The roller toes. Well, anyway, I was coming over it and I was holding onto the joystick, and I hit a bad bump. I accidentally pressed the button that opens the wheel, and the wheel just went poof down on the ground in front of me, and I was just like, this is not my day.
You have a knack for losing bales.
Oh, God, yeah. I'm just not very good. See, the thing is, I do a lot of stuff with no experience. Like,
Do you?
Aye.
Suppose.
Like, I don't really get the opportunity to do a lot of things often. So,
like, you don't often engine swap, you decide to do it anyway.
Well, like,
you don't often stack bales, but you decide to do it anyway.
Aye.
You don't often try to lose bales, but you do it anyway.
Aye. Like, my bale lifter has probably lifted 30 bales in its life. Ach, no, maybe more than that.
How many
like,
of them did it lose?
one so far.
Still 1/30 chance.
I know. It's just big enough odds at the minute. Like, you know, like, honestly, if there's something there, I'll probably break it. Like, what's the saying? Bend a crowbar in moss.
Ooh.
That kind of fella. Anyway, right. Moving on, because this section's quite big.
As you'll realise, calendar farming went well. My hands are too cold. And see, as I've been laughing here at myself, which doesn't sound great, my throat is getting, stinging.
It is starting to get cold in the throat. I can feel myself starting to hoarsen up
I
too.
feel no blood in my feet.
I'm not that stage yet, but my nose is like a tap here. But, yeah. So big old skids and one-wheel peels.
Aye.
We've been researching. Do you want to do it one for one then, saying as we both have quite a lot going on?
Oh my good God. Tell you one thing, the phone's actually warm from being between my legs.
Phone's warm too.
So, one big old skid. Now, I don't know how true this is, but I heard it anyway.
Right.
So, Quinn Brothers Agricultural Contractors, right?
Yes, the famous Ray and Goosey Quinn.
Yes.
Yeah. We haven't talked about their video of them doing the silage in like 1990 multiple times in this podcast.
No, they're never mentioned.
No, never.
But if I've been told the right info. So years ago, as you would have seen in that video if you did watch it, that was done on my home farm.
Yes.
They had a 2640 or 2740, so side shift Massey, and it was on like a lorry body trailer by the look of it. So like a lorry, so like an old lorry axle with a trailer basically made to work with it, right?
Yes, I remember
so
that. She is the front tip hydraulic ram, doesn't it?
Yes.
They probably built that themselves, did they?
I have no idea. Hey.
Wouldn't surprise me if they did.
But I was told that Red Rock, way back in the day,
Uh-huh.
back whenever they had, what, I suppose, 16 foot or the equivalent to like, what, 12 ton?
13 because Red Rocks are always built higher.
Yes. But, this is before all that crack.
Oh, okay, yeah, right, okay.
So, way back in, like, 80s, I
Right,
suppose.
okay, yeah.
Supposedly they were quite like really big contractors back then, and they approached Red Rock, if I'm thinking correctly, or if I was told correctly, and had a hand in Red Rock, or had a hand in the design or that of Red Rock silage tillers years and years ago. Now, I think I was told that correctly, and if it wasn't, and that's completely a load of balls, I do apologise. But, yeah, so I think their 16 foots would have been some of the first.
Right.
And, like, I think they went with, like, measurements or something, or...
Okay.
Basically, I think they had a hand in designing, and
Right,
then
cool.
they obviously maybe took off, or that could be a load of shite, I'm not
That
sure.
would explain why Quinn's always ended up going to Red Rocks.
Inherently, they're all hair now, but...
At the time, yeah.
They were all, yeah. And to be fair, like, them trailers are still going. That trailer that I'm talking about turned into a nurse tank for a long time. I don't know if it still is or not, I'm not sure. But that's one big old skid. Michael,
Yes.
on the topic of silage trailers.
Yes.
Right. What do you think is the best looking combination tractor and trailer
Uh-huh.
that you have seen? Not taken away from any brand, it doesn't matter what sort of running gear they have. Just on sheer, that looks tasty.
New Holland Cane.
Really?
Yeah, New Holland Cane.
Um,
What do you think would be the coolest combination?
I personally think New Holland Red Rock.
Really?
Yes. There's something about the blue and, well, like, yes, I grew up seeing that. Like, to me, there's nothing beats a 60 series and a classic Red Rock. It's iconic for me.
I'd have said like a TM on a classic cane.
I wouldn't even have said a TM. I would have you would have
Yeah.
said?
TM, like TM 155 on a 16 ton cane classic or something. 14 ton classic. Yeah. Aye, for me, that's...
To be fair, John Deere and Hearn look well.
I think Case and Hearn look very, very good.
Is that just because they've fairly matching colour schemes?
No. Just, well, the red kind of pops quite well together. Massey and Red Rock, I'd have said.
A red and silver. Now, I've seen this here, a photo of it on Facebook. 6190 with a silver and red Brochen on behind.
Oh,
It looked...
that would be class.
It looked class, yes.
That'd be class. Do you ever see, like, is it the JCBs or the Smith Fieldmasters? The black Smith Fieldmasters?
I think they are well looking. Personally.
Really?
I do not like the look of them at all.
Honestly? No. Oh, okay. I thought they were class.
I think, personally, that the JCB with the silver wheels is far nicer looking than the black wheels. I hate black wheels.
What about the JCBs with the yellow wheels?
Not a fan. No one. I know when I was in England,
Breaking my heart, man.
Contractor actually had changed the yellow wheels to white or to silver. Sorry.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh,
He had
no.
one. If I'm being told correctly, he had one of the first 4220s.
Uh-huh.
She was nearly like he had to do like they were actually doing like certain tests. because he was
R&D nearly, like, yeah.
and they could only as soon as he was finished that period, he sprayed them silver to the iconic fast track for. And to be fair, I think they probably maybe look better. Like probably the only color that any tractor looks well in is a black edition with silver wheels.
Has to be silver wheels. See, it has
I
to
don't
see
like black wheels on it.
Or red wheels.
Like Jermaine Grassman had the Voltra that was the like flip paint.
They're quite cool.
I didn't like that.
Oh, really?
At all, no.
DMC Groundworks, have you ever seen their New Holland? It's a purpley flip painted.
Not a I'd rather just a blue pair new
That
home.
thing's absolutely class looking. Tinted windows and all.
Again, like
That thing's class.
a blue pair with tinted windows.
No, I love that thing at DMCs.
Actually,
I think it's class.
Mr. CVX, actually, I think it's on TikTok or YouTube, had... Do you want to know what's actually really tasty is an 8340 white cab early,
yeah.
650s and 540s,
Oh,
and
yes.
like a classic Red Rock. That would be very much iconic for me.
Yeah, that would be class, to be fair.
Because there's something about a Red Rock... Or no, there's something about a white roof 40 series.
Unreal. Love them.
So, another sort of note on silage chillers.
Uh-huh.
God, we love talking about them, don't we?
We do, yeah.
Do you prefer grain chillers that are silage chillers, right?
Uh-huh.
That with the added sides,
Uh-huh.
or Smith and Brohan, I'm near sure, have made chillers that are just silage chillers?
Donnelly's?
Or no, but what I mean is they're fixed, so they are just, they're a tall chiller, but they're, if you know what I mean. I know obviously the likes of Kane and Red Rock and Heron are now making the deeper grain sides, and then your silage sides are just a wee add on top. But like, do you prefer the solid chiller or the chiller you can build up?
Chiller you can build up.
To be fair, I'd be the same. I think
Chiller
the
you can
other
build
just
up.
doesn't look right.
I quite like the likes of Donnelly's, where they're either like a flatbed or a full silage chiller.
Yes.
I quite like that. But if I was going to go for like something like a Kane or something in the morning,
Would you go classic or half pipe?
classic.
No.
Classic.
Well, here's another one actually. Sorry, another note on silage chillers. What's the best looking new style silage chiller out there, in your opinion?
Best looking new style silage chiller.
Yes.
I seen a video the other day, and it was Cake Whip's new design.
Okay.
And they brought it out of the shed. It's not even fully painted yet, and I thought it was pretty cool. To be honest, I thought it was cool. I really liked that. What about you?
For me, it would be between a tandem axle 20-foot Red Rock
Uh-huh.
and tandem axle 20-foot Supercube.
Uh-huh.
There's something about a Supercube that's just nice looking. I don't like the triple axle ones, because if you're ever near one, they are fucking massive.
Do you ever see the quad axle ones?
Oh, I know they're just another fucking league in their own, but
Too big.
But do you ever be behind them?
No.
I have once been behind
Yes,
one in the Moyer
actually.
Road. They're a tall chiller.
Behind
like,
one in Cork.
They are a
They're a
tall
big trailer.
chiller.
They're a big trailer.
Like, I know they used to say Red Rocks were high, but they are.
Oh, they're a different breed. Different breed.
And they're 4 foot high. They're 4 foot longer at the top than they are at the bottom. Ours are 2 foot.
2 foot.
2 foot.
2 foot.
Have you any bigger skids, Michael?
Loads. Absolutely loads.
Oh Jesus! I've more, but sure, we'll do one.
One each. Jack McGarry tagged me in a video there recently.
Okay.
It's a fella making a sandwich with a grinder.
How the fuck do you make a sandwich with a grinder?
You cut it like you would cut bread. Instead of cutting it with a knife, you cut it with a grinder. I don't see the problem with this. You're talking to someone who cut their Halloween pumpkin with a grinder.
To be fair, it would make more sense than a fucking knife, because sure, a grinder would do it quicker.
Yeah. Jack just was like, Michael Scullin, this is you. And I was like, absolutely.
Did you stick a wire wheel to it?
No, I didn't this time round. Just sliced it.
You must think more Becca than me.
Do you know what the funniest thing was, right? Everybody else was chopping at the pumpkins with a knife, right?
They were.
And the way they were going at them was like, really? I was afraid of the knife slipping or something. But yet, nah.
You'd have thought
I'm the weird one. I'm the one who's dangerous with the grinder. Yet I'm able to do it nice and controlled. Whereas they're all just menacing in, like, with the knives. And I was just like, I trust myself literally more with this grinder than I do with a knife.
Well, the other side of it is, at least they're getting their anger issues out.
Maybe, but I just was like, I just was like, I just thought it was a much easier way.
I'm baffled at how fucking cold it is tonight. You know that?
Yeah, it is.
We
cold.
we are going to invest in heaters.
Yeah,
I'm definitely investing in a heater because it is fucking freezing.
I think so at this point. This is going to edit podcast yet?
Probably.
What else you got?
I have more. So, Scott Power on TikTok has a video, and it's basically on a model farm.
Oh, I love that sort of stuff.
Right.
I love that.
I've seen model farms before where it shows the
We still need
field
to go and visit
shows-
Hugh Barr's collection.
Yes.
Yes.
So I've seen them before where obviously the field and the pit and all that there.
Yeah.
Wee shed.
Yeah.
This one was sheds all made up
Uh-huh.
with like half the roof missing.
To show what's actually inside them.
And I was like, there was a fucking milking parlour.
Get
There was a fucking
actually,
milking parlour. I can send you the screenshot if you want to pop it up so people can actually see it. There was a fucking milking parlour.
Holy shit. Hugh.
I didn't even realise that somebody could even do that, and that's very intricate, and I'm sure it's very hard to do. But it had a wee pit and everything. I was like, that's amazing.
Hugh Barr. Get on it. Because he will hear this, because he listens. He's like the other one listener apart from me and you.
Oh, that's
So
good.
Hugh, get on that.
Yes, because I'm freezing to fucking death here.
One of mine is, and you were there with me at the time,
Oh,
Stephen Halfordy's.
oh yes.
So we were actually supposed to talk about this in the last podcast.
But we are that big of fucking stupid idiots.
We forgot. So Stephen Halfordy has the E36 M3 estate drift car, right?
He does.
He is now building another, drum roll please,
What is it, Michael?
it is
And
an E36 estate drift car. But this
who
time
would have thought?
But this time it doesn't have an M3 engine in it.
What does it have now?
2J.
Oh.
You're putting this on like you don't already know all these answers. So we were down anyway.
Why would you let the people know that?
Breaking the fourth wall. It's broken well at this point. So we were down at his, and it's actually quite an interesting
If
plan.
anybody ever come to a live podcast of us, like,
I'll be
you'll
sitting-
just be explaining, look, I'm really fucking sorry. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of live podcast. See us in the flesh. Probably get shit thrown at us or something. Anyway,
No, maybe you to shut up.
fair enough. But anyway, so I think his plan is, right, he's going to go with a kind of a modest setup first.
Yes.
So he has a GE block refreshed, GE block, like out of a IS300 or GS300.
Yeah.
And he's it refreshed with standard Supra internals.
Big yawn, yeah.
So the original Supra internals. Now, they're good for, like, I think something like standard bottom end's good for something like 600 horse. But you'd run like a reliable 430, 440 or something like that out of it. And I think in the background he's going to build a second engine that's got like forged rods, pistons, bigger turbo, all that caper, and then that'll be the engine that's going to be the proper competition engine.
Oh.
He's just going for the Old Faithful, kind of like Dwayne's like RB25, just Old Faithful. So that's what he's doing now to learn how that engine works and learn how to drift with a turbo car and all that there. So
That's very smart.
the way he does things in general is very smart. Stephen Halford is very smart when it comes to that. We're talking to a fella who
Stephen
entered
Halford is drift theory.
he entered his drift car into an all-track competition to get seat time. Like, nobody else does that. Just because it was something else to get the car out and get the car tested and start and stop and handbrakes and all that there. It's actually a very good idea. Now, you're not getting drifting practice, so to speak, but forgetting the basic mechanics of a car, it's a very, very good idea.
Yeah, of course.
What else you got?
Yes, so to reiterate from my earlier Big Oil Skid, James Wire on TikTok has a bulldozer at the maze.
Ah, yes, we had talked about that earlier. Well, Michael Dalton's sent me a video of a Sierra Estate with a Volvo engine in it. Volvo turbo engine. Thought that was pretty cool.
That is very cool.
He was like, I
yes.
think you'd like this. And I was like, you're right. I do like this. I like this a lot. What else you got?
Fuck off.
Right, I have a couple more here then.
Now time for the Michael show. Go on ahead, Michael. Quick
No, a
fire.
fella, Cahill Sweeney, wrote to me there recently. He's saying that he wants to do the biggest E12 Corolla meet in Ireland. E12 Corolla wouldn't be massively common up north here, but
I don't mean to be silly. What's an E12 Corolla?
it's a Toyota Corolla. It's just the shape. Like, you know where you've got
I
like...
know I'm not that bad, but what I mean is, what shape of Corolla, Michael, is that? Let's see if I'm thinking
kind of like
correctly.
pre-Urus.
I loved them in 3-door.
Yeah.
I just think they were cool.
Yeah. So like they're...
No, I still think they're cool.
Yeah. So like they're the pre-Urus.
But they were like a Mark IV Golf compared... No, they were like a Mark III Golf compared to a Mark II Golf. They were like bloated.
Yeah. Or a 307 to a 306.
They were a great granny car. But I think, is it the done a T-Sport of them with 1.6
No,
petrol?
1.8. Same engine that was in the Sleek, I'm near sure.
Oh.
It's like 190 horsepower. It
It was
supposed
their equivalent.
of the Type R. Just didn't really have the same sound, and the VVTA didn't really have the same as VTEC. Like, just...
Was it developed with the Yamaha?
I don't think... No, it wasn't a beam setup. The Beams engine in a Corolla probably actually would have been class. But
What were they thinking? That would have literally been...
the Beams engine in a Sleek probably would have been class too, to be fair.
They should have made it rear-wheel drive.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Like,
Couldn't agree more.
it was a very cool-looking car.
Yeah, it should have been rear-wheel drive. I don't know what they were thinking. The Sleek, see
They
if they had
probably
it on...
thought we still the MR2, but then, like, right, actually, maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, but, like, Corolla T-Sport is like Honda Civic Type R. Celica is like Integra Type R, but they're not.
Maybe, but no. The Sleek should have always been rear-wheel drive. Like, because the old Sleek is rear-wheel
But
drive.
then they would have thought the MR2 was there too.
Best mid-engine. So...
It's trying to
the
compete with itself.
Celica should nearly have been like the equivalent of like an MX-5 in my opinion, which I know is what the MR2 was supposed to be, but
It wasn't.
it wasn't. Yeah. Anyway, back to
MR2s looked lethal with Vilsei kits.
the class. Absolute
Not
class.
the newer one, obviously, but the older ones.
I don't know if you've seen hers on Insta or TikTok. Rapunzel Oreo, her name is.
No.
She's an MR2. So a set of weds. It's cool. Your man Josh Grasswell's done all the work to it. Set of BC coilovers. It's decked. It's pretty cool. Like, to be fair,
Deadly.
I do like those that Mark II MR2s. But anyway, it's the 17th of December, Junction 14, Mayfield. You ever been at Mayfield Junction?
Is that the really big one?
Yes. Yeah, really big.
That is on the way to Galway.
No, way to Cork.
Oh, well then I have not been to this one.
Near Shirts on the way.
I don't
way
know
to
where
Cork.
it is then. But I've heard it's big.
It's big. It's big.
I'm not going to lie. I'm freezing like fuck.
Same. I'm so cold.
I don't know if it's these leather sheets. At the beginning they were storing heat, but they're doing fuck
They're
all
so
for
cold.
me right now.
So cold. Reload podcast. Give us a shout out.
Yes, they did.
Big fans of Reload podcast. I've listened to Reload podcast for a very, very long time now. I wouldn't say they're the exact 180 flip of us, but Reload would be more focused on
Show cars
and VWs. Very much, I don't want to say stands because we talk about stands too, but they're very much like, you know, they would attend like
bag stands.
Yeah, they would go to like they would go to a lot of VW only shows, like all their type of mates and events they go to. Like they went to America there. Connor and Lee went to America there recently, and like went to like Alpine Vag and all that there. You know, they would do all that sort of stuff. They're the type of guys that would cover Wuthersea, whereas we're the type of people that would cover Donegal Rally. Although I would also, Wuthersea doesn't exist anymore. Although,
But it would have been nice to
it
go.
would have been class. But I have heard VW is actually getting involved with Wuthersea, and they're now going to have it in the same weekend in Wolfsburg.
VW were always involved with Wuthersea.
Yeah, but now they're bringing it to Wolfsburg.
I thought the Germans were completely against modified cars.
It's VW though.
Well, fair
You
enough.
Germans and Austrians, German modification, you can't have fitment, true fitment in Germany, because the way it is, everyone has tuck. Because when you have a car fully bagged, if you can't turn the wheels, they'll seize your car. Because the idea is, what if your bag's dropped on the motorway, on the Autobahn? How would you steer your car to safety if your bag's dropped?
That's so German.
Yeah, very German. So, bit of a side note on Reload podcast. By the way, yeah, Reload podcast, check them out. Great, they're a great podcast. One of my favorites. So, yeah, big ups to them. And also, a fella, Callum Watt, wrote to me and was like, how does the podcast not have more followers? And I was like, I don't know.
You should ask that to yourselves.
You know what? It actually does a very, like, this is probably the first time we've done the actual, say, we've done the big-headed chat, but to be fair...
Why, has your head got bigger?
No, but I'm just, honestly, the outreach that we do get and people who say to us about us being from the podcast and people who you wouldn't even think coming up and saying to you and people who would reach out to you and go, do you do the podcast? I didn't expect it to probably be as big as it is, as at the stage where we're at, truth be told. It's quite nice, like. It's quite humbling.
We have 5 listeners, 50 or 500. It's weird to think that some people listen to
actually
us.
Enjoy us.
Yeah, talking manure.
And in this podcast, literally, yes, in this
That's
particular one, yeah.
Michael, yeah.
Okay.
Good
man. My final big old skid.
There's another one.
Huh?
Oh, there's another one.
Found one. I see a number plate the other day. AS said 6969.
He knew what that was for.
I think so. ASZ 6969. Like,
come on
now. Like, the thing is, was in the back like a Qashqai or something. That's the type of plate I would expect to see in the back of like an E-Class Merc or something, like an A5 or an A7 or something like that. Very surprised it was in the back of a Qashqai.
How old was this person that was driving the car?
I don't know what's behind them.
Wouldn't it be funny if it was an 83-year-old man?
Oh my God, can you imagine driving by? It just, you know what, but see if you were like an 83-year-old man, well, you probably are 83 if you're driving a Qashqai, like.
Possibly,
but
yes.
You'd look like such a predator.
So, Michael, I hear you have a one-wheeled bill to tell us about.
Oh, fuck, do I what? Yes, I absolutely do, right?
It's not like you haven't already said it.
I have said this, maybe 2 or 3 podcasts ago. I literally mentioned the same, I think it was maybe episode 12. Okay, that's not 2 or 3. The same thing, and I'm going to say it again. I seen a video there recently of 3 boys in Lexus at Ferry's Yard, right? Yeah. And the boy in the middle who's got the red flag is going absolutely ape shit, third time lucky, at the boys, and it just shows the videos. It's 3 lads, and they just keep like, they just sit and do burnouts, and then like your man comes over to him and they start like, they just hoop to another place, and the 3 boys are standing in the middle just going like what can you do here, like, and and everyone was like, oh, and then your man like tries to basically try and kick one of the cars, and I was like, okay, that's probably not the best reaction, but then I was like, I can't believe he tried to kick the car, and like everyone was like, yo, but I was like, your man's just standing there just doing a job to give people entertainment, and these people have no fucking respect. Yeah. The thing is, then you've got a queue of boys sitting waiting to go in, or girls like waiting to go in to the next one. So what are they going to do? Well, they're going to do the exact same. So like, you know, where does it end? Like, just stop being a cunt. Like, you should probably do what Letterkenny Carton does and bring in the telehandler. And yeah, like, because if you fuck about there, they will drive the toes of the pallet toes through your car, and rightfully so. Like, you've been given opportunities to leave. If you can't like follow basic, simple human commands such as get out, like, what are you doing? Like, get fucked. Oh, it just really annoys me. Like, it's one thing. It's just, I think it's just such a lack of respect.
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
So,
do you think that'll wrap us up then, Michael, for this podcast?
I think so. It's probably not as long a podcast as some of the others, but it feels nearly kind of weird not having guests, because the last 4 or 5.
It feels weird to say that. Yeah,
just talking to each other.
Well, if you've got this far,
Fair
to
play.
The people that listen to us, thanks very much for listening thus far. I suppose what's next to say is, if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, hit the bell notification so you get alerted every fortnight whenever Michael uploads videos.
Same as Spotify. Just hit the alerts, so add it to your shows so you can listen to us and be there when it uploads.
You probably, most of you know us probably from TikTok, so if you wouldn't mind continuing to check out them videos, or if you're new, go and check us out on TikTok. We have an Instagram account as well. Everything's at Limited Slip Differences, as well as having Facebook too.
Probably should be pushing Facebook more.
Well,
because Donkey brought us a lot of followers,
true, yeah.
so I need to start pushing Facebook a bit more.
But that's suppose everything. From me, your host Connor.McGoo on all socials, and
I am Michael Scullin _ on all socials.
So have a good one, guys, and sure we'll hopefully see you in the next one in episode 22.
I'm so cold.
I'm dying for a fucking pish.